having us on.
It's actually our
Yeah.
first ever podcast appearance. So there you go.
Wow. I feel special. That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, I hope I don't disappoint you.
No, I'm sure it'll nail it.
Right on, guys. So again, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I want to start. You guys are both brothers, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Okay. So you'll have a similar upbringing, I would assume.
Pretty similar, yeah, but
Al-
maybe different
Almost
viewpoints, though.
identical. Yeah.
So tell where you guys grew up in Ireland.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So we grew up in kind of, I suppose you consider it rural Ireland. We're both born in our local town's called Mullingar in County Westmeath, which is right in the Midlands. And yeah, I would say we had a pretty typical Irish upbringing. We don't live in like a town or a city or anything. We're out in a small village in the countryside. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say the two of us in particular had what you would call a stereotypical Irish upbringing. You know, as far as school, we went to like a extremely small school. Like I think there was like 12 people in my class. Same for you.
12 people.
12
Oh my
people.
Yeah.
Like
gosh.
yeah, and so pretty like small community, and sort of met the other guys then when we went on to I suppose what you guys would maybe call middle school, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's older between the two of you guys?
I'm 2 years older.
2 years older. Okay. Wow. So you met the rest of the guys in the band when you were in middle school. Did you like move, or you just happened to change schools and met up with them?
So basically what happens is from the ages of like up until 12 you're in like your primary school, and
Mhm.
then when it came for the time to move, our middle school and high school is all in one, and we call it secondary school. And there was no secondary school in like the small place where we grew up, so we went to one like a couple of towns over, I suppose you'd say. And
The first time I met Craig was actually in a sex education class when I was 12. So that's where I actually met him. But then we kind of, I didn't really talk to him there, but we just like stared awkwardly at each other across the room. And then, yeah, when I was 12 or 13, I went to that school, and I ended up in the same class as Dean and Craig, pretty much.
so then
Wow.
Matthew would like bring them back to our place, like having friends over, and then that's how I met Dean and Craig.
Oh, okay. Right on. So Matthew, you, Craig, and Dean were all the same age and went to this and were in the same class, and then
Pretty much,
And then
yeah.
I'm
became
2 years
friends.
younger than
Sure.
Matthew.
Okay. Right on. That's cool. Well, how'd you guys get into music originally? Were your parents musicians?
Neither of our parents played music, but they were both definitely like great appreciators of music,
Like huge music fans,
in
especially our
different ways
dad.
as well. Yeah, Dad was into like a lot of like the Police and Bruce Springsteen and kind of some Irish stuff as well. There's like a rock band from here called Thin Lizzy, and he liked it called Stiff Little Fingers. And then
Right
our mom
on.
was completely different. She was our mom was like that holy trinity of like ABBA, the Bee Gees, and like Elton John, which is great stuff as well. But it was like they were
Different vibe.
different vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't know. I guess I was from an extremely young age. I was always fascinated by it. I mean, I would always beg to listen to music when I was a child, and then when I was around 7 years old, I started taking piano lessons, which I actually hated at the time.
Doesn't
But
every kid hate it? I
yeah,
swear.
I think you're weird if you like it, to be honest.
My biggest regret to this day is giving up the piano lessons. But
No, I don't regret it. Well, I do, because I'm not as good as I could have been. But it wasn't until I was around 12 or 13 and started to watch like music videos on like MTV and stuff, because I hadn't really like I listened to guitar music, I had heard it, but I had never really seen it. And then I think I remember seeing the video for um I think it was American Idiot by Green Day.
The Green Day
And
song.
and I think the Strokes video for 1251, they were like kind of circulating around the same time. And as
Mhm.
soon as I saw those two music videos, I was like, oh my god! Like I think I was about 12. I was like, oh my god, this is like I need to do this. I need to get an electric guitar and do that. And yeah, that was pretty much how I got into it. And I really, like, through the course of my teenage years, just absolutely threw myself into emulating those people.
Mhm. Did you have to take piano lessons, Steven?
I did, and yeah, it's the kind of thing that I definitely didn't appreciate enough when I was younger, and I did like the first couple of exams, but I gave up at a very basic level,
Okay.
and then kind of went on to discover like guitar and eventually bass guitar. But to this day, I regret giving up the piano lessons. I think I'd have such a better kind of understanding of theory and just a better level of musicianship if I gave them up. But
I
I just when I was like 8 and 9, I just wasn't that interested in piano at the time. But a big regret, definitely.
I would say when I was about 15, like guitar gave me like a understanding of like songcraft and how music works, basically, like
Mhm.
how songs ebb and flow and chordal structure and melody and all that kind of thing. And then that kind of made me go back to the piano and just sort of figure out that, okay, so it's like the right hand is the lead and the left hand is like the bass. And then I was like, oh, I get it now. And then I started to love keyboard, and I still love playing keyboard, like especially in studio. I would play a lot of the keys and stuff, so I learned to love it.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Mm.
So tell me about getting that bass, Steven. When did you get did you pick up bass just because your brother was playing guitar? Like, how did that all happen?
That's a funny story. So here's pretty much what happened. We were starting as young as like 11, 12, 13 years old. We were starting to play cover bands like in our friends like garage or um we were doing like the typical like playing the Strokes and the Arctic Monkeys and the Killers and stuff.
Mhm.
And Matthew was starting to join these bands when he first got to secondary school, but they didn't have a bass player, and
Nobody wanted to play
nobody wanted to play
bass.
bass. So I was 2 years younger, and Matthew knew that I had like a good knowledge of basic guitar and especially like the strings and what notes they meant. And basically, I got volunteered into coming to like the first couple of practices just to get them by, just to play like the root notes, play a bit of bass. I remember they were doing like Song 2 by Blur and
Queens of the Stone
Queen
Age and stuff like
On
that.
Call
Oh,
by Kings of
cool.
Leon. And I was like, yeah, I understand that this is how the bass works. And I borrowed like a neighbor's bass guitar and went to the first few practices, and then that's how they got me.
We pretty much roped him in. I mean,
Yeah.
like he came away from the first practice like, you guys are like terrible, but we got him to stick around.
That's funny. That's awesome. Well, yeah. Your older brother, he's like, well, you're playing
You're
the
in this
bass.
now.
No, and then
Sorry, I'm taking the guitar, you're playing the bass.
I went out and I got myself my own bass, and yeah, I just like taught myself the bass from basically what I kind of already knew off guitar. And then yeah, I just kind of learned to love it.
That's great. Was the band that you were jamming with, was that with Dean and Craig, or was it a totally different group of people?
So strangely enough, Craig was there, and the drummer was one of our friends in school whose name was Barry. But weirdly enough, I was actually the original singer, and
Oh
Craig,
wow.
the like Keith Richardsy, like lead guitar player, looking away
Okay.
in the corner.
Yeah, so roles would eventually reverse, but originally, yeah, Matthew was on the mic and Craig was just
That
playing
was
guitar.
probably one of the best decisions we ever made, to make me guitar player and Craig the singer.
Yeah.
How did that decision happen? Did you
Well, we
guys
only
hear him sing or something?
we
Pretty
only
much.
discovered Craig could sing when he was maybe like 15 or 16, which was a couple of years after this.
Okay.
Craig was like the reluctant front man. He was quite shy and reserved growing up, I would say. So we only kind of realized he could sing a couple of years after that. I think my first time like properly hearing him like sing a solo thing was in a school production of Les Mis.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. That's when we first heard him sing, and we were all like, "Where has this been?" I mean,
yeah.
we've been in a band together for like, granted, a pretty crap band, but like a band for 2 years, and we heard him sing and thought he was amazing. And plus, as well, I just didn't really like being the singer very much.
Mhm.
I just wanted more so to be a guitar player, and Craig, I think, wanted more so to be a singer. So it worked out really. Like there was no, it was kind of just one day looking at each other in rehearsal and just being like, we should switch. Definitely, that's it's a good idea.
And
Yeah.
then Craig started like writing songs and doing like home recorded demos on like his old laptop when he was maybe only like 16 years of age.
Hmm.
So he was singing on the demos. So then we realized that like, oh, he's actually got a very good voice.
Mhm.
And yeah, he sent through a batch of songs, and that was like that's when we realized he should be the lead singer.
And I suppose that's when we all started to kind of fall in love with music production and recording music as well, because Craig was the first one that got into it, and I suppose especially in the last couple of years we've kind of all really sort of wanted to step up our game, because everyone knows now, when it comes to writing music, so much of it is done on a laptop these days. Even if you're a guitar band, I mean, it's still the most convenient way to write and record your music is with a laptop. So everybody in our band just kind of put time aside to learn how to do that well.
Mhm. So when Craig was recording these demos and stuff, was were those the early academic songs?
Pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah.
and ideas from the very earliest stuff he wrote when he was really young still kind of filtered into some of the stuff that was on the first album, and even some of the stuff to this day. So
Wow.
he was especially talented when he from a young age. Yeah.
Yeah, like even our like I think some of the last track on our album Girlfriends, I remember is like, I remember being in school and Craig coming up to me with his phone, and he was like, I wrote this last night, tell me what you think. And so that song is like years old.
Mm.
And
Wow.
Bear Claws 2 was a pretty early demo as well. So yeah, we weren't afraid to. We had a lot of faith in those songs, so we weren't afraid to carry them forward. Like they still really summed up what it was like to be sort of moving through your teenage years. We knew they had something to say.
Sure. Yeah, Bear Claw is still a huge, I mean, that was a huge single for you guys, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Wow. So tell me about starting, like, how did the academic then form? How'd you guys get Dean in the band, and how did that all kind of start going for you guys?
I guess you could say the pivotal moment when we became the academic was getting Dean. So Dean has got an interesting backstory himself. He used to play in like country and western bands with his family,
And also a metal band.
and also metal bands.
Oh, so his
So
his whole family plays.
yeah,
Yeah, Dean comes from a very musical family. Pretty much all is like a big ass family just full of musicians.
and similar to us, by the time he was 16 or 17 years old, he had like 100 gigs under his belt. We were all like very experienced, very young. So we eventually got Dean to join the band after Craig showed him some of these demos.
And yeah, that was, I suppose, I remember the first rehearsal with him and just how tight he was, and how creative he was with his beats and everything, and just instantly no one coming away from that first rehearsal with Dean this is the lineup. This is it. This is what, like, if we are going to do this, it's going to be these four people.
We
Mhm.
weren't called the Academic though; we had a different band name.
We had a million different band names, but we decided to name it Maginot, after the Maginot Line in Europe.
Okay.
it,
Yeah.
And
it didn't last.
yeah. um, how old were you guys when Dean jammed with you guys then?
I'd say we were like just turning 18, maybe.
Yeah,
Like we
maybe
were,
like the guys were 17 and me 15, maybe
yeah, maybe
that
around
kind
that
of.
age.
Yeah.
Like we were kind of just finishing school, kind of. Yeah, I think
Okay.
Dean joined in like our final year of school, pretty much.
Okay. And tell me about like you said you're from a pretty rural area of Ireland. Were you like before getting deaned? Had you guys played any shows? Like, had you ever played live to people before?
Yeah, like some funny ones. We played at some like school battle of the bands, and we did like a friend's birthday party one time.
Yeah, we did
And
like house parties as
yeah,
well, stuff like that. Like, but out in the middle of nowhere. And see, the great thing about our local town, Mullingar, is that it's kind of well known in Ireland for being like a big musical town. And
Oh, that's awesome.
there's a ton of pubs.
yeah,
There's like a 30 pub mile in Mullingar where it's just so many pubs. So there's constant demand for bands, anyone to come in and play, just entertain people. So it was never really hard to get a gig, to be honest.
yeah.
It was
It was probably like the equivalent of we joke and say that Mullingar is like the Nashville of Ireland.
and it kind of
Oh,
is.
sure.
Kind
Okay.
of is. So yeah, by the time then that we had formed with Dean,
It was pub gigs.
we were just playing in like pubs like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Um, there's a pub in Mullingar called Danny Burns, and we pretty much became like a resident band there for a while. And I think we played every Wednesday and every Sunday.
Yeah, and it was Sunday nights were a killer because I still had school on Monday mornings, and I could be playing until like 1 a.m. in the morning, and have to go in and do like maths on Monday morning.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, but that was the time when we really sort of like cut our teeth like properly live, where we got very tight. And what like a lot of the gigs were like, you obviously were doing a lot of covers, but we were writing so much of the time as well that like
We just like sneak originals
we
in.
pepper them in
Yeah.
there.
That's
So,
cool.
we'd maybe do like the Beatles into like the Strokes into like we'd sneak in an original and then go back to doing like something else.
That's awesome. Who was writing the songs in that band? Oh, Craig was in that band, right? With you guys?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It was just Dean was
Craig
the
would
new.
definitely be. Yeah, Dean was just a new member. I would say Craig is definitely like chief songwriter, but we all sort of like it's quite collaborative at the same time. I mean, he comes up with sort of the skeleton of a song, and then we all sort of take a look at it, and we all sort of we all write parts, and then maybe we make suggestions about like where the song should go and maybe the feel of it and stuff like that.
Nice. You get Dean in the band, and then what was like after you guys had that rehearsal with him? What was the next for you for the band at that point?
I think we pretty much we had a batch of songs written, and we decided we were going to release a single as the Academic, and we saved up our money and went to like a local recording studio and did a very early version of Bear Claws.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which I think if you go on the deep, deep recesses of the web, you can still find it somewhere.
That original
Um,
version?
Yeah.
yeah.
The really
Oh
old
wow.
school, maybe like 4 years before the version that everyone maybe knows now came out. And also we saved up all our pub gig money, and we did like a music video where we threw paint all over each other.
That's
And
cool.
actually looking back on it, we did a number of acoustic videos on YouTube as well that were actually a big deal for us, and like kind of getting comfortable being on camera. We would do acoustic versions of
Our own songs, and like
songs.
a lot of our friends from school would share them and stuff, and then people who knew us from playing shows in Mullingar would start to share them as well. And I suppose that leads on to like a big thing for us was meeting our manager, Carl, as well. He just really gave us sort of a direction and sort of great advice on like he just basically said these are great songs, but like you need to like put yourselves out there even more. And we were
Yeah.
and
He
really kind of sealed the deal.
he kind of
for
took
us.
us out of the pub band scene and had us like maybe like opening for more established acts kind of in different places in Ireland and in Dublin, and that was maybe the most important step, looking
Yeah.
back on it.
So how did you guys meet your manager?
I think I think what happened is he saw the paint video for Bear Claws, and he emailed us, and he said, "Would you guys like to get a coffee?" and we met him at our local hotel, and we chatted to him there, and he was like, what shows are you playing? And we were like, mainly just kind of pub gigs. And he was like, well, I can get you opening for a band in Vicar Street this Saturday night. Um, and to us, that was insane because Vicar Street is this really iconic venue in Dublin. And I think we'd only played maybe once or twice in Dublin before, and like really small shows, like 100 people maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we were opening for a band called De Laurentiis, who are a fantastic Irish band who we were all huge fans of as well. So for us, it was like, oh my gosh, this is
we thought
insane.
if this guy could pull this off, then he was the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, that weekend we were opening for De Laurentiis in Vicar Street, which for us was like our first time on like a big professional stage. And then yeah, we've been with Carol, our manager, ever since then. But yeah, It was all because we saw the video of us throwing paint all over each other.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that show in Dublin. You said it's the first big stage you guys got to play. Was that pretty nerve-wracking?
Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of things went wrong. I remember Craig broke a string and had to play like an old out of tune Les Paul after that. But it was a fantastic experience looking back on it. We were super young, and like Vicar Street's a venue that we've kind of we still love. We headline it in Ireland.
It's still my favorite venue in Dublin, no question.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a 1,500 cap like theater, and we were playing pubs and on Friday nights, whatever, and then all of a sudden we were in this amazing theater with this amazing sound system with techs and front of house engineer, and it was just bizarre for us.
Yeah, geez, I couldn't imagine. Was that like a venue you guys went to as a kid to like watch some of your favorite bands play, or was it the first time you had ever been there was to playing it?
I had been to a comedy gig when I was a teenager, but I'd never been to a show there. But ever since playing there, I've ended up going to lots and lots of gigs there just because I absolutely love that venue.
It's a special room. It really is. It's one of Ireland's best, without a doubt. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And then, so the next thing you guys did, did you have your EP out yet?
No, not at all. We our only real experience of being in the studio at all was that kind of demo version of Bear Claws that we could, and even like we removed that offline basically to save for a later day, as you know.
Yeah.
And then like we didn't rush ourselves into the studio at all. We continued to be a live band for maybe like a year or two, just again supporting different Irish bands in different towns up and down the country. We worked really hard,
and like during those 2 years, the whole thing with that EP was it was recorded quite sporadically. It basically was when we got time and money saved up to go into studio, that's when we would like record. It wasn't like previously we'd be like, bang, let's just do like 3 songs in a day. Mm-hmm. But this time we were sort of like, let's spend like 2 or 3 days on one song. So we kind of really took our time with it, and I think it paid off because I still really like that EP. I still think it's some of my favorite songs are still on it.
And then so Different went on to become our like debut single after we pulled the old version of Bear Claws, and Different kind of became like a small radio hit in Ireland, I suppose, and then that's when the name The Academic really started to get out there.
Wow.
Yeah, that song coming out was definitely a super big watershed moment. Like we had maybe got like 1 or 2 spot plays with that original version of Bear Claws, but when Different came out and started actually getting on radio playlists in Ireland, then it sort of kind of began to sink in that, okay, we could maybe do a headline show in Dublin now and people might actually be there.
Yeah. Wow. How did you guys get on the radio? Was that through your manager?
Yeah, pretty much.
and also we were lucky enough to record. That EP with an Irish producer called Philip McGee,
Mhm.
who just before we recorded Different had great success with an Irish band called Codaline. So he had kind of a history of getting tracks onto the radio, and still does with a lot of young Irish bands. He's a great producer,
Mhm.
and we were lucky enough to work with him on the EP. And yeah, it then it went through our manager, and
But I think pretty much he just sent them the song, and yeah, we kind of just asked them what they thought, and they happened to like it. So that's how it started getting played, I guess.
yeah.
And from the radio play, you guys were like sent to a festival, right? Or you got like nominated to play a festival?
Oh, Eurosonic.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eurosonic. So how did that
Yeah.
happen? So that was like a contest or something?
Yeah, so basically, one of the Irish radio stations called RT2FM kind of nominates brand new Irish artists to go and represent kind of our music scene at like, it'd be the equivalent of like South by Southwest,
Oh, sure. Okay.
except it's in the Netherlands,
And way colder.
and way colder. Yeah, so you kind of go there to showcase your music and your live sets to different like European like promoters and
Bookers.
agents, labels, everything. And yeah, that we got a lot of European festivals out of that. Then we met a lot of cool promoters who a lot of them we still work with and use to this day. And we met them. We worked really hard at Eurosonic. We did maybe like 12 gigs in 3 days or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, wow. Oh, so it is
Yeah.
really similar to South by Southwest, where
Oh,
you
yeah,
just
you're
played a bunch
literally
of showcases and stuff.
Almost the exact same, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Did you get to play any like out of the 12 shows? Were there any like standout ones at that
One was in a
festival?
brewery. One of them was in a Dutch brewery. And
There's a Spanish band
called
the Parrots playing downstairs. They were actually, I looked them up afterwards. They're actually really good. They were playing downstairs, and I just remembered they were absolutely insane. It was like one of the craziest sets I had ever seen. And yeah, it was such a strange venue. And we stayed on a boat for the whole week.
Our hotel was a boat. Yeah.
Whoa, that's cool.
We got caught. It was like a blizzard as well. It was pretty much like sub-zero.
So we were like carrying our pedal boards and guitar cases like through this big blizzard. It was like, yeah.
Oh man.
Nasty.
You're on the water and it's freezing cold outside too.
Yeah.
That's probably made it even worse. So Loose Friends comes out. You get some radio play. You get to play the Eurosonic Festival. Then what was next for you guys? Because I did see that you didn't release the Tales from the Back Seat until 2018, right? So you had a few years
that's
there.
right. So I guess we concentrated on the UK a lot. We did a lot of UK tours up and down the UK, some headlines ones, and then we opened for a UK band called Circa Waves.
Oh yeah, I know who they are, or I've heard of them.
Yeah, and then we were lucky enough to open for 21 Pilots when they were kind of road testing Blurry Face.
Oh my God, how was that?
It was
cool,
very
yeah.
It was very strange because, like Stephen said, I think they were road testing material for that huge album that they had. Mm-hmm. So they were playing like really, really tiny venues,
like 500 cap rooms, and that's not where they should be, you know.
So
right.
It was a bit strange, but it was still very cool. And I guess I'm trying to think. Yeah, we spent a lot of time just doing that. We did a lot of toilet tours for the UK, you know, like
and Europe. We kind of ventured into Europe a little bit too,
trying to promote ourselves,
trying to promote all as an independent band.
Wow, how that must have been really hard. Did you guys have to like pull your money together to do the tours and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like it's fair to say we made practically no money off touring like that, you know. But it was yeah, we were just trying to promote the EP and trying to get in front of as many people as we could. Every summer, we put ourselves forward for like every festival. So, and we played quite a few European ones. We got to do like before the album came out, even we were at Benicassim in Spain, which is quite a nice one, and like
Reading and Leeds.
Oh
wow.
a lot of the cool UK ones and a lot in Ireland as well. So we were touring a lot trying to promote the EP. Yeah.
Nice. And then in 2017, that's when you guys did the Facebook live stream video, the loop that kind of went crazy, right?
Yeah.
So what
The-
happened with that? Tell me about that.
Oh my God, this is still the hardest thing to explain in the world.
yeah.
Sorry.
The key thing to know is that we still don't fully understand how it was pulled off.
But we had recently signed with a label in a small, or well, not a small, an indie label in New York called Downtown Records, and we had this idea, got to do with Facebook Live and how there's sort of a lag if you're talking to someone else, and we just thought, is there some way you could like use this I don't know, and we said it to our label, and they put us in touch with this company called, is it BBDO?
BBDO.
BBDO,
Yeah.
and
they had some very, very techie, very smart people who could. We were trying to kind of articulate what we thought was possible, and then they went out and figured out
actually how to do it.
in like they could crunch the numbers basically and tell us how we could do it. So basically, we set a loop to 30 seconds and kind of changed around the BPM of Bear Claws to exactly fit. And I remember we set up like a fake Facebook page and went live on it to see if it would work.
As like a practice run.
Like a test.
As a test, yeah, and it worked. And then we did a whole day rehearsal, and then we just went live that one time. Only ever did it like once, and that's the version that's on YouTube and the one that people watch. Yeah,
yeah.
Very scary.
I really wasn't expecting it to like blow up as much as it did, but
no, because it got about like 20 or 30,000 views on our Facebook when we went live with it, and we were like, yeah, that was a really like cool piece of content, and really memorable for people. And then I think some random Irish guy put it on Reddit and said like, you need to check this out. There's a band using Facebook Live to create a visual and audio loop effect. And I don't know an awful lot about Reddit, but it got like upvoted on the homepage. Like,
oh yeah, it's a huge site. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And then like within a couple of days, it had 250k views, 500k views, and then I think it's definitely fair to say it blew up on Reddit.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. Because it says I read that it had like 1 million plays in 48 hours.
Something like that.
Something absolutely crazy like that, which is mind-boggling.
That is insane. Tell me about getting I didn't we kind of passed over that you guys got signed to Downtown Records. Tell me about that. How'd that connection happen?
So I think we thought we could do the album independently, and we were willing to if the right deal didn't pop up. We hit, like, in our early years, we had a lot of contact with a lot of labels in the UK, and we'd gotten our hopes up a lot and thought that we were going to get certain deals, and kind of nothing that felt good to us popped up. Basically, we kind of never saw a deal where we thought we'd be like the right kind of priority, or just felt right for us to sign to, until an indie label in New York heard our song "Thought I Told You" from Loose Friends, and they got in touch. And we kind of, for the first time, we kind of felt like a label was approaching us in a way that we could kind of like enjoy, and that we thought we were going to have a good working relationship with, and who would like prioritize us and respect us. And yeah, that was a big moment, because when we signed with Downtown Records, then all the focus started going towards, okay, finally we get to make an album.
And that's when you guys started what became Tales from the Backseat?
Yeah, so so Downtown were a US based label, so we got to come out to the US, and we did a lot of and this is some of the most fun we've ever had. We got to like go out to America and meet different producers, and like kind of like do different writing sessions to see who we got along with. And that's where we met Tim Pagnotta, who ended up producing the record.
Oh, I didn't realize Tim Pagnotta produced the record. That is rad.
Yeah, he produced our first album.
Were you guys fans of his band at all, or?
Yeah, we kind of knew going in that he was one of our favorites on the short list of people we were going to get to meet.
Mhm.
And
But I'll be honest, I did not know he was in Sugar Cult until like maybe like 2 weeks before we went to record the album. Because I remember I used to play this video game Burnout.
Oh
when I was
yeah.
Burnout
Was it-
3 Takedown. Amazing game. But, like one of my all-time favorite video games. No, it's not really. But I remember Sugar Cult was like on the soundtrack for it.
yeah,
You know the way like video game soundtracks influence your sometimes can
They
influence your
totally
taste.
do, or you'll discover
like-
bands from there. You're like, who's this? Oh yeah.
Like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or like
Mhm.
FIFA. They
Yeah,
like
FIFA always has great soundtracks.
always has a great soundtrack. We still haven't gotten on it yet. Like it's my actual dream
we're still hoping.
to get on the FIFA soundtrack.
Oh,
just
is
because-
it really?
Oh yeah,
That's
like,
up there. That's up there. If you asked us like what our dream like sync would be, you could offer us anything like a Coca-Cola advert or the biggest thing in the world, and we'd be like, just get us on FIFA,
It's gotta be
please.
FIFA.
Yeah.
It's gotta be FIFA. It's just like I'll retire if we get on FIFA. But,
Don't.
No,
It
we-
could happen, man. Don't. You don't want to retire.
But also we knew from like looking at Tim's discography and stuff, like, so he had just worked with Neon Trees and Walk the Moon, and
Mhm.
Walk the Moon had just had the big hit with Shut Up and Dance, and here was these like guitar bands that were definitely guitar bands, but also who wrote pop songs and had that crossover kind of
Mhm.
into the mainstream while remaining a guitar band. And we were like, that's exactly what we love, and that's exactly what we try to do. And thankfully we met Tim, and we really liked him, and yeah, we got to
we
do
ended
that.
up moving to Los Angeles for 3 months and recording an album with him.
That's so rad. Yeah, I don't see anything online that says Tim Pagnotta produced your record. That's huge. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Especially for most of us, we'd never really even been to America. I mean,
I was
think
going to
we-
ask you that too. Was that your first time being here in the States?
Pretty much, yeah. The first ever time was LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had gone out maybe once or twice before, but like for very short stints, just to actually go and meet people and decide who we liked. But then, yeah, just moving there was bizarre because, like we said earlier, we grew up in rural Ireland, and all of a sudden we're living in the valley in LA. So it was like quite a culture shock.
Writing songs with the guy that produced
Was in Sugar Cult.
and produced major hits too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, that's crazy. That's awesome. So Tales from
Yeah.
the Backseat, you recorded that with Tim Pagnotta, and then what did you guys tour on the record? Did you tour the United States at that point? Like what happened next for you guys?
Yeah,
We
so
did.
just before the album came out, we went on an amazing tour, one of the highlights of the band to this day, with an American band called Judah and the Lion.
Oh yeah.
We opened for them all across America in like
October/November. No, sorry. It was like September, October of
2017,
I believe.
and then the album came out in January, so it was just before
our album
our
dropped.
album. Yeah.
And then, and that was so much fun. That was our first, proper open road tour of the US. We pretty much went
Got to see some wild places, like
everywhere.
Birmingham, Alabama, Tampa, Florida, like to Louisiana, and like New York, and like everywhere. That was like one of my favorite experiences ever.
Yeah, we had gone from like barely been in America to we've nearly been in every state within like the matter of like a month and a half.
So we did that in like the winter of 2017. Then the album came out in January 2018, and then we did a headline tour of North America in like the March and April, and that was pretty insane as well, because we were like selling out shows in like Chicago and Toronto and stuff, kind of off the back of the album and from people who had seen us on tour with Judah. Yeah, and that was the headline show for the album across North America. And again, some of my favorite memories of like the entire band's existence was that.
With those shows in the US. Yeah, that's I mean, I've only lived in the U.S. and I haven't been to nearly as many cities as you guys have. That's crazy. Oh, that's funny.
Um,
And you guys toured with Judah and Lion, like if you toured with them, what, 2017, 2018
Yep,
ish? So like they were like at the peak of like Take It All Back and,
100%.
Suit and
Yeah,
Jacket and stuff, right?
yeah, we were like hearing it on like alternative radio while we were touring with them. So they were
they were flying
they were
high.
flying. We got to see some beautiful venues with them and play some great places. Yeah,
And they're great guys as well.
The
Like, I mean,
best.
me and Stephen actually met them they were playing a show in Dublin maybe 3 months ago, maybe. And we met up with them for a drink in Dublin not too long ago.
I was talking to Troy, their drummer, like 5 days ago. Like they're great people.
That's cool. That's really cool that you guys were able to keep that relationship with that band. Awesome. So the album comes out, you're touring on it. I did and you guys saved Bear Claws for the record then.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
We
sure that
knew-
was intentional.
Yeah, we kind of felt that was the platform that song deserved, that it should be the lead single from the debut record. And I'm really glad we held it. Like it's still probably our most successful release to this day. I think it's our most streamed song. It seems to be our most popular song among fans. Just yeah, I'm glad we held it back and got. I think if we had released it before the album, we just felt like it deserved to be released with our biggest thing so far.
I would say also as well, we had actually tried to record it a couple of times, and we just could never get it right. And like, credit to Tim, like he really came in and made that song pop and come alive. He just kind of steered it. It was like 90% there, and he just steered it an extra 10% over the finish line to what it needed to sound like.
That's awesome. Did he do that with any like? He's obviously very, very good at what he does. But was he able to kind of do that with some of your other songs?
Yeah, most notably, probably our song "Why Can't We Be Friends" was a kind of a. We had a different idea for it going into the album sessions. It was kind of more like
garage rocky kind of
like British indie Arctic Monkeys kind of vibe. And then he kind of suggested, we had the idea briefly before, but he pushed us towards making it more of like a slow acoustic jam.
And then we kind of arrived somewhere in the middle, where it's still got a heavy acoustic element, but it's also got drive and beat, like weird guitar kind of background noises and stuff like that. And it kind of turned into this sort of just like indie acousticy kind of song, I guess. Which and to be honest, it still might be my favorite song of ours.
Yeah, it's one of the most fun to play live as well. It's really fun. It's got a fun bass line, great guitar solo, like cool sing along moments for the crowd. That's a fun one.
That's cool. So tell me about, on the acoustic note, I want to talk to you guys about recording at Abbey Road Studios. Did you guys record a session
that was
there?
We did.
We did an acoustic EP there, which was again one of the highlights of my life, to be honest. Because like me and Matthew, this is a Beatles house that we were raised in.
Yeah.
The first CD I ever bought was like the 27 #1 compilation.
Oh yeah.
I was introduced to the Beatles by like a teacher when I was like 7. When you're like first introduced to them, and it's like Yellow Submarine and kind of the more childish McCartney stuff. But like, I mean, like the Beatles have probably been like the most present, consistent thing in my life, probably.
Yeah, like when me and Stephen were kids and teenagers, we treated the Beatles like religion. Like it was like we maybe even a step too far. Like it was literally our religion. Like we bought this little black book that was like every single Beatles song, like guitar chords, and like that was the Bible of the religion.
I still have it. It's in the next room, and it's bed up, and it's like it's like our holy grail.
That's awesome. So going to that studio must have been crazy. I mean, I've grew up as a Beatles fan. My sister's name is Abby, spelt the way off of at the Abbey Road record. I've never been, but I can't imagine going into that studio. And not only that, but being able to like record a session there.
it's such a magical building, and I mean, obviously, even seeing the front of it where the Beatles crossed the road, but yeah, we recorded in I think it was Studio 3, and Frank Ocean had actually been there not too long ago, finishing off some of Blonde, I think.
Yeah.
And
Oh wow.
which was really cool because that's like one of our favorite albums. And but this one of the guys, I think he was like one of the proprietors, I guess, came into the studio and just asked us how we were and were we enjoying being there. And he was like, "Do you guys want to see like the Abbey Road?" And we were like, "Yes." And so he took us down the corridor, and he took us into a door on the left, and that was this actually wasn't the big Beatles room. It was the sort of big orchestral studio where they've recorded like soundtracks for like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter,
Wow.
and probably some of the Beatles orchestral moments as well.
Yeah, there's like Studio 5 and 6, I think, beside each other there. And the big
Yes.
orchestral one. I think they had just finished filming like an Ennio Morricone thing there that I think went on to win loads of awards. And then the studio beside it is like the one from all the Beatles photographs with them, with the stairs going down and the big open. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like,
as soon as you close the door in that room, it's not to sound creepy about it, but there's just something in that room. It's like there's just an energy in the room. You know, it's like you can't hear the outside world. There's just a spark in that room. It's just unbelievable.
especially when you're like big Beatles fans and you've seen all the pictures of like them down there like surrounding a piano, or like even
Mhm.
like them in the control room with like George Martin and stuff, and you're looking up at the glass. It was completely overwhelming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When you said there's like a presence in there, I could totally understand that. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's hard to describe, but there was just some kind of electricity about it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like imagine how many hits were produced in that room, just from
Yeah.
one artist. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and then I remember the guy completely blew my mind. He like pointed at the piano and he was like, "You see that cigarette burn? John Lennon."
Oh man.
I was like, "Oh my
And
god!"
I mean, like that's just the Beatles. That studio has got history with like, like everything from Elton John to Pink Floyd. Like,
Mhm.
that's what we like. The producer who was working with us there, he was more excited about like the Pink Floyd end of things, and so like it's just history in every single room in there.
Mm.
Yeah. How was it recording there? Did you
It
feel
was
different?
great.
Like, did you have like more confidence because you're in this like iconic
It was
place?
Yeah, and see, we brought in a video crew as well to do some stuff that ended up on our YouTube. So like it was cool. We got to like sit around in a circle and kind of perform in a circle, like looking at each other, which was cool. And
I would say I actually felt more nervous just because it was Abbey Road, and it was kind of like we have a very limited amount of time here. The pressure is on. This has
yeah,
got to be good, and plus it's just such a institution. Like
I
it's
think you naturally feel a bit more vulnerable when you're recording like acoustic stuff as well, because when
Mhm.
you've got like the safety of a big loud bass guitar or electric guitar with all your
Yeah.
like distortion pedals, but you're a bit more exposed when you're doing like acoustic versions.
Totally. Yeah, I could definitely see that. At least with the distortion and the loudness, you can kind of cover up a mistake or something.
God bless the lay pedals.
Yeah.
That's funny. So then that takes us, I mean, kind of to today, right? As far as you guys musically, I mean,
Yeah.
you
So
released some singles between the two albums. I mean, it looks like you put out Anything Could Happen, which is the new one, right?
yep.
Hmm.
And then Aftertaste and Super Like were those just one-off singles?
Yeah. Aftertaste and Super Like were definitely like the two that bridged kind of the first album into like the EP that we're going to be releasing in June. They were like the two standalone ones. But
Okay.
but yeah, we basically, after we released Tales from the Backseat, we toured it everywhere across Europe, in the States. We really like spent pretty much a year of our lives just touring that
if
everywhere?
not more. I would say the touring cycle for Tales from the Backseat was maybe like 18 months, I'm gonna say, and we were pretty exhausted by the end of it. So
we got like 2 summers of festivals out of it, and like lots of tours, more support tours. We went on tour with the Kooks in Europe and in
Wow.
North America again. We were back in America with the Kooks. So yeah, we spent pretty much, I'd say, 18 months after Tales came out just
on the
touring.
road. And
Wow.
with Super Like an Aftertaste, we kind of, I guess we didn't really want to just jump straight away into a second record.
Mhm.
And but we also didn't want to I suppose leave our fans hanging and not have any music. So we had these we were writing a bunch, and we sort of decided, right, well, let's release one of these and not worry too much about whether it makes it onto a future record. Let's just give, we think this is a great song, let's release it. So that's kind of how that ended up happening.
Mhm.
Also, we were we'd finished doing our album Downtown, so we were back to being 100% an independent band on Super Like an Aftertaste. So it was kind of like yeah, it was fun. It was kind of, it felt like homegrown again. It felt like, you know, we were literally doing it ourselves. It was on our own label. We were trying to like record it ourselves and meet different producers. So yeah, we were like back to being an independent band for Super Like an Aftertaste.
Oh, so you only had one album deal with Downtown Records?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then now you guys are signed to Capitol Records, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Tell me, how
So
did that happen?
So after Super Like an Aftertaste,
Did a UK tour.
we did a UK tour, and we were starting to think about, okay, maybe we'll get an EP out, or maybe we'll start thinking about second album. And we were perfectly, like, we were open to doing it independently. We felt like we knew how to release an album now after the experience of the first one. But we did a UK tour and a European tour, kind of off the back of them 2 singles.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, our manager for the London show kind of invited in some labels just to kind of just to see, I guess, if there was anything new on the plate. And we played a sold out show in a really cool venue in London called Scala.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as far as we know, there was a couple of labels coming in, but like we didn't really let that stuff phase us anymore.
I actually didn't know, because I hate knowing about that stuff. But like, if Carl ever tries to say to me, by the way, XYZ is coming tonight, I'm just like, listen, I don't want to know, because it doesn't, not that I don't like those people. Of course I like them coming to the show, but I just don't like knowing about it until after.
Yeah, as far as we were concerned, we were thinking like, whatever, like we're probably gonna, we're happy enough to go and release future stuff independently anyway. So if something good comes up, great. If it doesn't, then we just carry on doing what we were expecting to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Capitol Records were the ones who got back to us with kind of the most interest. And at that stage, you're just trying to manage expectations. Because, you know, when you hear that Capitol Records are interested in your band, it's kind of hard not to like get carried away. And like so we had a couple of meetings with some people in London, and again we were just managing expectations. And kind of, there was one meeting where they were like, where they wanted to hear new music, and we were like, we're going to go home in the next 24 hours, mix all our best demos, and we'll send you over like our 10 best new ideas. And we sent over the new music, and then we kind of didn't hear from them for a while, and we
didn't hear from them. And then I remember me and Craig we were all out at Christmas, but me and Craig met up early, and we were kind of talking about, like, you know, well, we haven't heard back from anyone, you know, let's just keep steamrolling ahead ourselves. Like, we've been doing it for years now, we know how to do it. And then like literally an hour later, Carl was like, it's happening, it's on with Capitol. So we were like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to sign to Capitol Records too, though, being Beatles fans, that must have been pretty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Capitol, we'll sign.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, even like I have like pet sounds in my bedroom, and even like just seeing the Capitol logo on that, and you're like, oh my god, that's like the best album ever made, and we're gonna like have that logo on our like EP. It's just crazy.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, your name will be next to all the greats in there if you look them up. Like, you know,
crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you been to the Capitol Records building?
In London, yes, but not the iconic one in America yet because of what with one thing and another and the global pandemic, you know.
Yeah. Due to the fact that nobody can leave.
Yeah. So no, we haven't been to like the big building in Los Angeles yet, but I mean
I'm sure we'll wind up there eventually.
That's something we want to do when travel becomes possible again.
Yeah, definitely. Well, tell me about Anything Could Happen. So that's going to be on the new EP coming out. You said in June? Yeah. June it comes out?
26th of June is the EP, yeah. So Anything Could Happen is a song that we did with Nick Hodgson produced it, who was the original drummer in the Kaiser Chiefs.
Oh, wow.
He's a really cool guy, and he provided kind of like a different sound for us. Kind of maybe less polished than the album, a little bit more like garagey, like what we were doing when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So we recorded a couple of songs with him, and there's going to be another song that he did on the EP. And and we decided Anything Could Happen was going to be the kind of the first single of the new era.
Rad.
What made you guys decide on Anything Could Happen? It just felt like a great song.
We had a tough time deciding, just because I think maybe one of the reasons we decided to release that one first is because it's a little bit different than anything we'd released before. Mm-hmm. It's still like in a major key, all that kind of thing, but it's still maybe got like a little bit more bite to it than our other stuff, and
more of a sparse production, maybe.
More of a sparse production. It was just like, very interestingly produced. I mean,
it was essentially a master demo. Like, we liked the demo that we did so much that we wanted to change none of it. We put a new vocal and some live drums on it,
and that's it.
Yeah, I only ever played the bass in the demo. I never did like official takes. We just used everything from the demo.
Yeah, there's like lots of sounds in that song that are kind of just like weirdly scrapped together, like guitars pitched up and down and stuff like that. But I think just talking about the EP, one of the things I'm most proud of is that half of the songs on the EP we actually produced by ourselves, and it was so great that Capitol gave us the freedom to do that. You know, they were of the mentality of, just keep writing songs and keep producing them yourselves. You know, we kind of set up a little mini studio in Dublin, and we just said, why not? Let's try lay down some demos. But our demos always end up going a step further, and we basically end up with like a full production song.
Yeah. That's awesome that they're good enough for them to say, yeah, we're just going to use these.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun EP because like it's not really bound by like one producer or one genre. So we've got 3 self-produced ones on there, 2 from Nick, and then 1 that we did with the guy who produced Aftertaste and Super-like in Dublin as well, called Cormac Butler. So it's a real like
amalgamation
mix
kind
of things, which is cool because we've never done that before. Like all of Loose Friends was done by Philip McGee, and then all of Tales from the Backseat was done by Tim Pagnata. This is kind of more of it feels less kind of
like a collaborative effort kind
of.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love the video as well that you guys put out for Anything Could Happen.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's strange. We were meant to shoot originally we were meant to shoot the video in London. We had got in touch with this director called Ronan Corrigan, who's an amazing director, and we had this idea that we kind of put together similarly based on couples, but it was a bit more dark, and obviously we were going to shoot it in a studio. Mm-hmm. And then obviously with the way the world is now, that ended up not happening, and but we still really like the core concept of the idea. But with everything that was happening with COVID-19, it kind of put a way more positive spin on the song, because before the music video was made, I never viewed the song in a positive light. I sort of used it as like a sort of like bit of a like not a nasty song, but sort of like a, I don't know what you want to say. I had like a swagger to it, and now it just sort of, when I saw the final cut of the video, I was like, the song is taking on such a like a sweet emotion now, which is not what I expected, but it's still really nice, you know.
Yeah, it's totally like a happy, like upbeat vibe to it.
Yeah,
and then all the Did you guys just ask fans for footage? Like, how did you get the footage of like the couples in their beds and all that stuff?
We didn't ask fans because we kind of wanted it to be a surprise for like fans and stuff, that we were dropping new music and stuff. Okay. So we let the directors put out a casting call, kind of privately. And
I wouldn't say it was more so like a lot of them were like friends of the director and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just reached out. They pitched the idea to people and put out a call for anyone who wanted to be in it. But the key thing was we didn't do it publicly as a band and asked fans to do it, because we kind of wanted to drop it and have that element of surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. That's a great idea. Instead of saying, "Hey, we have a new song coming out. Who wants to be in the video?" It's
it's like, well, where's the element of surprise?
Yeah. Like, right. That's cool. I mean, I think the video is awesome. That's awesome. You guys were able to come up with a workaround to the COVID thing.
Yeah, we got there in the end.
Yeah,
it's also weird. During quarantine, it's kind of like, right, we've all learned to be like good at music production, but now we're also having to learn like how to be cinematographers and how to, you know, focus a camera and like stuff that I just like know nothing about. I'm like trying to learn now, and it's another skill in the pocket.
It's forced us to be like definitely more creative, like on our social medias and stuff. And we're doing like a lot of video stuff from home, so we've had to learn how to like light properly and stuff like that.
Just moving the lamp all over the room.
Yeah.
Sure. Have you guys been doing like live streams and stuff of your songs?
Craig's been doing a lot of like Instagram live stuff, and then we did like a Zoom competition with our fans where we went on like a call with 15 fans, and that was like really fun.
Tell me about that. Yeah, it was like a competition to win a slot in the Zoom call.
Yeah, we just kind of hung out, and it was hard to describe. It was like
so we joined the call, and then there was a few Irish on it, and then there was like a couple of Americans as well. And so at the start there's that like awkward thing of like, oh, how's everybody doing? Where's everybody from? And then it kind of went from there.
But it was really good fun by the end of it. Like just pretty chill.
Everybody loosened up after the awkward beginning.
yeah, for sure.
That's cool. That's really cool. I want to know, tell me, I mean, you got the album coming out. You said Craig's been doing some live streams and stuff. Like,
we I guess we have some more stuff lined up. Obviously, like new music is one thing, but there's other stuff that we've like some other video kind of type stuff that we've shot at home that I don't want to reveal too soon, but some of it's pretty cool. But the EP is the main thing.
We're just excited to be releasing this EP. It'll be our first like body of new work since Tales from the Backseat.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've done like the Abbey Road EP in between, and we released a live EP.
Yes, a live EP
in Dublin, but this is our first like new body of work.
I forgot about the live EP.
So it's cool. We've got like the best merch we've ever got. We're getting it on like, we've got a cool translucent vinyl, and we got it on cassette, and we're just really excited to be releasing new music.
So the orange vinyl and the cassette tape and stuff, that's going to be the actual album cover and everything? That's the artwork?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. And are you guys like, I know obviously you guys are together, but have you been able to I don't know, how could you write and stuff like with Craig and Dean? Like, how has this been working for you guys?
Like, to be honest, that thankfully that's been one of the easier elements, to be honest, because we all have like sort of little mini home studios anyway. So we all send each other music all the time.
Yeah, it's cool. You could get a new idea in from Craig in the email, and he'll be like, "Okay, it's like 114 BPM. Just see if you can put a bass line to this like riff I was doing." And yeah, it's just like a new way of writing, pretty much. And it's actually been really fun. We've been trying to make the best of a bad situation, and we've gotten some cool ideas out of it so far. So yeah, we've definitely been able to stay productive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear the EP in full when it comes out next month. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me today.
We
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, anytime, man. I have one more question for you guys. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
It's such a difficult question to answer. Different advice is for different people.
I would say write is the most important part. If you got something to say, put it down on paper, put it to music, and then, I know this sounds obvious, but play in front of people, play anywhere you can. We played some absolutely ridiculous things before we got anywhere. We played at school, like fundraisers. We played at like friends' birthday parties. We would play anywhere. So that's the only way I know how. So that's the way I'm going to recommend. If you have a passion for music, just get up and play.
And on the other side of things, just make the most of all the platforms that are there for you. Like the internet has definitely become a great friend of like new musicians. Don't be afraid to get in front of a camera and to express yourself online. That's a big hurdle to get over for some people. But yeah, just like put yourself out there. Think of the most like innovative and interesting things you can do, and take advantage of all the great social medias that are out there.
And if you have something to say, write it down.